Okay, so these are the steps of how I make my key lime cake. So one of the first things you want to do is preheat your oven to 350, and also have like your pans laid out for your cakes to go on. Whether you're gonna do 2 or 3 layers, I have many layers you're gonna do. And so one of the first things you're gonna do is you are going to cream your shortening, which in this case I'm using canola oil. So the ingredients that you're using is going to be 2.5 cups of cake flour, 1 3/4 cup of sugar. You're going to use 2 eggs, a teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, a cup of buttermilk. You're also going to use 1 teaspoon of vanilla flavoring, 1 teaspoon of pure lemon flavoring, and as I said, 1 3/4 cup of canola oil, a cup of buttermilk. You're also gonna need possibly like some cooking spray, and also I use a pack of lime jello, and I also use what's called crystallized lime, which is basically like it's dried lime. So it's just like the lime oil and the so it's made from limes. So each packet of this is basically like equivalent to like 1 wedge of a lime. So I'll show you how I incorporate those into it in a second. But in order to make this cake, I use canola oil. Like I only use Western canola oil because it's the best oil. Like it doesn't have any taste, and it's the best oil for baking. Like if you're making a red velvet cake, or if you're making this type of cake, any cake that you want to have made that's really moist, that calls for you to use oil outside of using cream and butter and sugar, I use Western canola oil only. So this step in making like a red velvet cake or making this kind of cake in particular, like to make it really moist, like this is like the most important step is the consistency that you reach with the actual sugar, cream, the sugar, butter, and eggs. So this, like I said, this calls for 1 3/4 cups of sugar. So I'm gonna measure out 1 3/4 cup.
You pour it like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you pull it out all neat?
And since I don't have a 3/4 cup measure, I'm gonna use a 1/4 of a cup. So that's 3/4 of a cup equals the same as 3/4 cup.
Can they use any type of mixer? Doesn't matter.
You can use any kind of mixer. You can do it by hand. You can use a regular hand mixer. Let me see that one. You can use a regular hand mixer, or you can also use an but it's easier like to get the consistency of the actual cream and sugar together better. You get a better consistency if you actually use a stand mixer, but everybody don't have a stand mixer, so. And then with that, I'm gonna cream with that. I'm gonna add the 1 3/4 cup, which I've already measured out. 1 3/4 cup of canola oil. Add that to it.
How long do they have to do this?
So with this step, when you're actually creaming together the oil and the canola oil along with the sugar, this step is like the most important step. So this like step, if you have a hand mixer, this step is gonna take probably about 15 minutes if you have a hand mixer. But with the stand mixer, it shortens the time. So while I'm doing that, what I do, while I'm waiting on that to come together, what I do is I measure out the actual flour and the dry ingredients to the cake. You said butter. So I could have had all of this stuff pre-measured out, but I wanted to do it like more realistically, like actually measuring it out so y'all can see how I'm measuring out the ingredients, and which ingredients I'm putting into it. So this calls for 2.5 cups of cake flour. Cake flour always be hard to get out of the bag because of the shape of the box.
Yeah, I have more light.
Now, like with the cake flour, like with this case, I don't like really. You can sift the cake flour, but it's not really necessary with this recipe. But you see that sift up there? It's not really necessary with this recipe because it's because you're using the cake flour. But I still normally go ahead and sift it anyways. With 2.5 cups of cake flour.
Need a bowl?
Like you always want to make sure that you're measuring the ingredients, that everything is leveled off. Like you're not like, because baking, of course, is all about chemistry. So you want to make sure all the ingredients are leveled off. In this case, it's easy because it's in a box. So I can just level it off like that. And this is only half a cup. That's why I'm adding 3. I just broke the other cup. So to that also to the dry ingredients also I add a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of baking and a teaspoon of baking soda. So that's all the flour. So with the see, it's like it comes like a little bit more foamy the longer it goes. Turn it up a little bit. But I'll show you the consistency that you want to make sure it is. It's like basically you want to make sure you bring it back to the consistency of like basically like the consistency of butter. Like I said, you want to add, and I went to this cake flour. I add one teaspoon of baking soda. And also, the recipe calls for usually, but I don't think that it calls for 1 teaspoon of salt, but I think that I usually use a half a teaspoon of salt. I don't think I actually use a whole teaspoon. And then those 3 ingredients together, you just want to sift those 3 together. And that's just to lighten up the actual flour and also incorporate the ingredients. And so, like I said, it takes a few minutes for this to actually incorporate. So I'm gonna turn it up some. And I'll show you the consistency that you want to have it at. Now also, I have the cup of buttermilk. Now to the cup of buttermilk, what I add is I'm going to add the lime, like all of my flavorings. Well, some of my flavorings. But to this I add
grated lime.
I add a tablespoon of grated lime zest. So I grated enough. I mean, not a tablespoon, but 1 teaspoon of grated lime zest, because I also am going to add the crystallized lime. So like I said, the crystallized lime is like 1 pack is equivalent to like a whole like a wedge of lime. So with this, you want to add I'm gonna try like add about 3, and you can add more just depending on how much limey flavor you want to have. But you don't want to add like too many until it's bitter. But I'm gonna add 3. 3 is gonna probably be equivalent to like half a lime. Now also to this, I'm gonna add a pack of lime gelatin. And these are gonna be basically like the wet ingredients. Now to all of my wet ingredients, I normally add most of my flavorings to it as well. And it depends on how much you want to add, but the recipe basically calls for the 1 teaspoon of each. This is the vanilla extract. So I add vanilla extract, and I also add butter extract, and I'm adding pure lemon extract. And you can add lime extract, but I figure with the lime flavors that I already added, which is the crystallized lime, the actual lime zest, and the 1 packet of lime gelatin, that's like enough. So you can see now it's like more like of a frothy like consistency to the actual oil. The oil and canola oil and the sugar. So like at this point, once you can start adding like the eggs, and it calls for 2 eggs.
How long did you let the ingredients sit out?
Well, you got all ingredients have to be at room temperature before you can use them. Turn it on for me. Turn it on for me. Yeah. And then you'll see, once you add the eggs, you'll see the consistency of the change. Now, like all of these ingredients, I mix all of these together. And also, it already gives it like a hint of green color, but I add more green food color into it to give it like more of a lime color. Because when it bakes, the lime color should become a little bit darker. And I'm gonna add the second egg. You'll see that the longer it actually beats, the more. That's why I say it takes a long time on a hand mixer to like achieve the right consistency. But you want to like achieve consistency that's gonna be almost more come back to butter. Now, as far as food color, you can add the food coloring depending on how green you want it to be. Like I add just a few squirts of the actual food coloring. A few drops, because you don't want it like too dark. Like I said, it will become more green, a little bit darker once it bakes. So, and once I actually make the cake, once I actually put the cake together, I'm gonna make cream cheese frosting, which I already have my cream cheese sitting out. It's already at room temperature, and I already have my butter ready to go along with my the powdered sugar that I'm gonna use in order to make the. So I'm gonna make that after I actually finish the actual cake. So like I said, you see it's getting thicker and thicker. Like with this process of it, you have to like actually just be patient. So I'm just gonna let y'all sit here with me to go through the whole process and then waiting on the actual butter to come and cream to come together. This part of the actual process is what like actually makes the cake like moist and flaky. Like when you have red velvet cake and it's actually like real moist and like it has that certain like crumb that's like real fine. That process of just letting the cream and the butter come together is what actually gives you that. So I already have my dry ingredients, which is the 2.5 cups of flour and the half a teaspoon of salt and the whole teaspoon of baking soda. I already have those ingredients together. I already sifted, so all I have to do is just alternate that with the wet ingredients, which is the buttermilk and all of the flavor. The only flavor I haven't used yet is the butter flavor, which I'll put that in at the end. You see it's getting thicker, it's becoming thicker and thicker. More like the consistency. Like I said, you want to bring it all the way back to like the consistency of butter. See, it's like a much thicker consistency right now than where I started out, but it's still like not at the consistency of where I want it to be. So just keep beating it for a little bit longer. Like I said, it's much easier. But I zested 2 limes, and I was gonna use the lemon, the actual lime juice from the limes. But I figured since I was using the crystallized lime, that I would just like I wouldn't use that because I didn't want to like have too much lime to where the cake is like bitter. But I am gonna use the lime juice to make the frosting along with the rest of the lime zest. I put that in the cream cheese frosting. And see how it's becoming thicker and thicker. The actual like this, you want to bring it all the way back to the consistency of butter, but not over. See, it's always from like that real runny consistency all the way back to almost like a batter. And this is like the consistency where you want it to primarily be. Like I could take it for a little bit longer, but like this is the consistency where you want it to be.
Is it okay if it goes longer than 15 minutes for doing this process?
Well, it's not really a time. It just depends on like the temperature and everything. Like it's not really a specific amount of time you have to do it. You have to just do it until it reaches that, until it goes from that it was how it's real liquidy and oily with just the oil and sugar and the eggs back to like this consistency to where it's more like a cream butter. Look at it for me. And so at this point, what I do is I alternate the ingredients, starting with the flour and the buttermilk mixture.
Look more.
Now you can close it. You can close it. Yeah. You know, and then with the cake, you want to mix the least amount you mix it, the better. Yeah, we should know. And I try to I try to split the ingredients into thirds. Kind of like started with the flour, so I try to like end with the flour as well. You want to scrape the bowl down, the sides of the bowls and everything, make sure everything get incorporated well. Into the actual cake. Shut up, Takashi. And all the rest of the little flour. Now this green, I think I would like for it to be like a little bit
A little bit more green.
a little bit more vibrant of green. It's a little bit darker, so I'm gonna add a few more drops of food coloring.
It's looking a little light skin.
That looks a little bit better. It should be a little bit just one shade darker once it actually bakes. You want to scrape down the powder, make sure, because a lot of the lime zest and stuff that you're gonna add, it gets stuck on the powder. You're mixing it up. Put this in the sink for a minute. So it's like still some color mixed up in there. So now all I have to do is just spray my pans. I didn't spray the cause I'm only using just the pan cooking spray.
Do they have to just use Pam, or can they use
You can use anything. You can
to grease it?
You can grease it with flour and butter and flour shortening, or however you want to grease it. Sometimes I put like a piece of parchment paper down, but since I use the pan, it needs a non-stick as well. That's really all I need. Now, depending on how I was thinking about making it 3 layers, but I don't really know how much batter I'm gonna have. So let's see. So I think I will make it like 3 layers, because that way, because I do have enough batter to make it 3 layers. And this pan cooking spray already has the flour in it, so it's already the oil and the flour. And it smells, it kind of smell like cake batter when you spray it into the pan.
It smells really, really good. It does smell like cake batter.
And so those are